Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick.
Lena.
Radiant team pick.
Mars!
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Jen.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining.
Couple of minutes is up here for our DHL drop quiz of day number 9. And we're ready to get into the answer and game number 3 here for our first series of today. Before we get into that, I'd like to show off the wonderful prizes that you guys can win. So from the lovely runways of Paris, I have my new and sexy model. I have Matt here showing off the wonderful tracksuit pants that you can win here. All ESL branded, all comfy, comes with complimentary kangaroo in the pocket as well, it seems like. So Skippy is going to be helping here, Matt. So now as we start getting into our answer for our DHL drop quiz of day number 9, and it looks like it is answer A. 2.5% there for the spell life steal of the Voodoo Mask against creeps. So I'm not quite sure if it actually increases. This might be a question for you, Darcy.
Well, it increases against heroes, obviously, not against creeps.
So it does.
10 seconds.
All right, well that's good then. So, I mean, 2.5%. It's not really the best kind of item, and that's kind of why that you don't really see it as a standalone, whereas you see sometimes like a Morbid Mask picked up first.
Yeah,
Well, but spell lifesteal, like, think of the heroes that are actually going to make most use of it. Probably Leshrac, but he's not really in the...
I mean, so Ember,
Yeah.
yesterday.
But he still didn't
How'd
even go
that
the
work?
voodoo mask. He went the
Radiant
he went
team.
the
You don't get the
hot
voodoo
booster
mask
first.
first. Yeah.
So, you know, that's a little bit unfortunate that we don't get to see more voodoo masks. But what we do get to see is our game number 3 draft here between 5men and Viking GG. We've got a Chen here, so Soleri is kind of frothing at the mouth right now, being able to play this in a 3-mapper series up against 5men. But
And the first time that the 5 men have not first banned the Lina gets picked up straight away. I mean,
And pretty good against the
5
Phoenix as well
seconds
here.
remaining.
nice. Obviously, it feels much stronger as the position 4 hero, right? Just because you want to, as a Lina, transition into the later stages. You want to have some right click, and of course, against Amaz, he doesn't really care about that. He just tosses up his shield, and you're totally fine against all of it. So I'm thinking this is most likely the support duo already revealed by Vikings. So now the question is, how are the 5 men going to be able to
Yeah, I mean, I like their opener as well. They have more team fight. It was pretty clear in the previous games that they're not really emphasizing on team fight. They're more emphasizing on laning dominance. And sure, maybe last game they could have done a little better when it comes to the lane matchups, but it's just too risky not going into the mid game, not having any AoE team fight. Viking GG really stacked up on that last game, and they weren't really ahead early game. It's just really when that egg combo came out, that's when they started to pull ahead, as well as the lifesteal storm bombs.
10
But
seconds
in this
remaining.
particular game, we got the Chen, and this is a hero we haven't seen in a while.
5
I'm not sure if we've
seconds remaining.
seen this hero picked in ESL yet, have
I think like once,
it's been
maybe?
banned a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've actually seen it played just yet.
I'm
I
keen.
think I have a weird feeling that Viking has played this before. Let me just go consult
Viking?
my notes.
Consult
Well-
your notes. Well, with the Phoenix pick, we typically think, back of Pylai being the medic, but it's a misery hero. They don't really play it in that +5 role on the 5 men,
Dire
so
team
that begs the question, what are they going to pair with it? Is it going to be something like perhaps a Pugna, which fulfills the medic role a little bit? You're just going to have a ton of healing. Both supports you would think have already been picked up by Vikings, so you're not going to get AA'd or anything like that, super counted in that way.
Radiant
And
team
you also
pick.
get a little bit of protection against people that might want to be hitting the egg, but they're going for Magnus.
Alright, well, Magnus was open until the second phase, which is surprising. Normally it's banned in the first or in the second phase. I mean, I do like 5-men's opener here. The Magnus, I think it can still be middle. It can be a position 5. Obviously, Paladai is
10
not really
seconds
a
remaining.
player that's been playing these type of heroes. But I mean, if it is coming down to
5
adapting
seconds
to the game,
remaining.
then obviously there is a possibility that he might take it. And right now, it's looking pretty good. I mean, if they can pair it up with the heroes like Juggernaut, which is still left in the pool. Strong laning, very good team fight as well.
Jug's gone. Jug.
Right, lads,
Five
it,
can go
it
rid of
actually
it.
was
Oh.
it actually was Viking that have played Chen twice in
Dire
the series
team
against OG.
Yep.
Slada.
They're very happy to pick it up, and this is basically one of the same cookie cutter drafts that they did. They went Chen with the slider.
Alright, I like
a
this.
Priestess and a Evoker and a Spectre for that.
Slider Luna here, which is very typical from Viking GG. We saw that in the first series against Hellraisers. Surely it didn't do too well when it came
10
to
seconds remaining.
dealing with OG.
Radiant
But
team
right now, I mean, there's no
Phantom
real
Assassin.
position 5 that's going to be threatening them. Well, we got the PA Magnus right now, which I don't think it's great. It's not good in the laning phase against Lina Sato, sorry. So you're going to get run down a little bit in the laning phase, and even later stages of the game, like, you have that
10
burst
seconds
potential from the
remaining.
Lina as well.
It's a
Worried.
5 mag. It
5
feels like
seconds
the
remaining.
exact opposite of what a Pylai Die hero would be. And
Sure.
there have been so many times where they've left his hero until the very last.
saw Weaver, we saw Furion as well, which is not something he's actually playing. I'm just wondering if they've been talking about it and they wanted to adapt according to the matchup today against Viking GG. But yes, it could still be a Magnus mid. They can still go for something more
Radiant
iconic
team
like the
back.
Witch Doctor here for Pilot Die. But I'm really liking Viking GG's lineup. They're just going back to their roots. This is pretty much what they did BTS Pro Series. It didn't really work out against OG because they were very well prepared. But I don't necessarily think this draft right now
Dire
is
team
heavily
back.
countered by 5-men's. I don't feel like they've reacted well enough to deal with what they're known for to do in BTS Pro Series. And that's the negative strategy in armor. They also have strong lanes. They have good team fight. It's a very well-balanced lineup. They tend to pair it up with the Chaos Knight as well towards the ends.
10
Maybe not
seconds remaining.
necessarily a Chaos Knight game, but they can play any type of carry with this line.
5
Well, yeah,
seconds
speaking
remaining.
of the Chaos Knight, this is literally the exact same
Radiant
draft that they did
team
against
back.
Hellraisers in game number 3. If this is what they want to go for, the Chaos Knight, then they can certainly go for it. I do have to agree with you. I don't think it's probably one of those games that you want to
Yeah.
be playing a Chaos Knight
Yeah,
into.
it's not. I think they can still pair it up with your typical hard carries. Obviously, Lifesteal being first phase banned this game, there was a
10
lot of respect
seconds
coming from
remaining.
They're
that second
basically all
game.
gone except for the Sven in terms of the hard
5
carries.
seconds
Terrorblade's actually
remaining.
still in the pool as well.
Not a bad Sven game. I mean, in terms of
Dire
laning
team
threats, will
back.
do fine. You got your Chen to really kind of sustain for you. And on top of that, you have more CD, you got a good win condition, you got pair-ups with the Lina as well later on, where you can just chain stun. And, I mean, it should be pretty easy to play this 4-1 style while the Sven jungles, and then you can Divine Favor and recall him back to the fights.
10 seconds
So,
remaining.
there's definitely a possibility for Sven, but I really think, like, you can pretty much
5
play any carry
seconds
you want
remaining.
at this point in time.
Yeah,
Because...
and Viking, they're just getting rid of these heroes that Chessie's been able to dominate on in that mid lane. Oh, you know, we saw the gameplay from the Zeus. Void Spirit is another one of those. It leaves this Tiny in the pool, but I just don't feel like this is a...
Yeah, I agree. It's just too hard to get anything from the early game. You don't really have that roaming position for her as well to accelerate the Tiny start or the laning phase, so it's very emphasis on getting a head start, and I don't think he can do that, and it's not really the best matchup against SF anyways. So.
Yeah.
So what a 5-man need to get rid of here? I mean, we talked about it not really being a Chaos Knight game, but this is the same cookie cutter draft that they did to secure series against Hellraisers, so probably thinking about that in the back of their minds are 5 men, but I mean, Sven or CK would be two perfectly fine bans for me.
Yeah, I think the Sven should be banned here. I just don't see a reason. I mean, the CK might just be banned because they played it before, not necessarily for being great for this particular game. I don't think it's great against the Magnus PA. You also have the Phoenix Sunray to worry about. Delusions don't do anything to the egg itself.
I'm just thinking about, like, what else is good, because again, it's probably not going to happen, but the Slayer has been picked as their safe lane before on Viking G, and, like, I don't know, this PA matchup kind of goes both ways, right? Because when you've got the Blur, you don't have that guarantee of getting the bash off and getting these more favorable trades, but, you know, if you do, then PA suffers quite heavily, especially if you're pairing it together with a bit more of a passive support. Let's say the Magnus is in the...
Well, they ban out the Troll.
Dire team
I think a reasonable ban here.
Stands ready.
Gonna go with the Sven. So
Yeah.
pretty straightforward stuff here coming from Viking GG, but the way they execute this draft is the scary part here for 5 men. Is they play so fast around this Chen, they really get that early BKB on Boom and Shadow Fiend, and if they don't kind of crush this mid Shadow Fiend, I think it's tale of what happened against the Hellraisers.
Yeah, they need a
Now select
tempo
your
maker. We actually predicted both.
Well,
Heroes
we was also saying it's not really a tiny game,
Yeah, it's
though,
not.
right? So, I don't know. I'm feeling very strong about Viking GG this time around. I feel like Boom, he's warmed up a little bit. That game 1 was a bit rough for him, to be perfectly honest, but even the Chessie Tiny, I don't think is going to be quite enough. If it does get to the late game, influence obviously drops off a fair amount, but you've got Misery and Pilot Eye to back it up. I just think they're going to have a hard time getting to that stage.
Yeah, I would have actually been okay with the Tiny mid last pick if they had a roaming 4. Because that way they can actually punish the Shadow Fiend. They can make Tiny's timings a lot quicker with the Blink Dagger, and then he can run around and create space for the Magnus PA to come online, but they don't have that. So that's why I'm going with Viking GG.
You're gonna go the same as well, Matt. All right, so it looks like both our panelists here are gonna go for Viking GG for game number 3 here. So we're gonna leave it for one more time. It's gonna be with Gareth and look.
Thanks, guys. Here we are, the final deciding game in this best of 3. As Lacoste, we see our drafts before us, and it seems like the panel's leaning pretty heavily towards Viking. The last pick, Tiny, does that do anything for you?
They needed a hero that can set things up. They needed someone to start a team fight. They needed some extra burst damage. It's a good hero against the Shadow Fiend. Very like squishy hero, and if there's any kind of rotation coming out from Phoenix, it should be a kill. I mean, Phoenix doesn't provide you with any slow stun setup, but just bringing one extra who's mobile, who can set things up from far away, should be enough. But looking at the draft, like as a whole, the big picture, I'd still say Viking has a better draft where they have good Roche potential, they have good timing on their items, like where you have Sven and Shadow Fiend who pair, when they're paired up together, they complement each other nicely, where Shadow Fiend, if he decides to like get on level 15 talent, minus armor on the buildings, you have Sven that comes online faster than the other carriers. Not in this particular game, because, you know, Phantom Assassin will be farming with the Empower, but still scary looking lineup from Viking.
Yeah, it Sure is. You're mentioning the tempo there of Sven in particular, and it feels like, with Chen, with Lina, all this damage, the minus armor you mentioned from Toby and Boom, while 5 men, they've got a lot of team fight. They've got a lot of things once you get past the laning stage to actually allow them to control Roche Pit, control these choke point areas, win team fights around staircases and ramps. But getting to that point, I think something the panel mentioned is going to be a bit of a struggle for them, actually getting their levels up, getting to that position in the game where they can match 5v5 a team fight against, the itemization, which Viking have shown they're very good itemization to allow them to win the game.
Yeah, game number 2 is just a good showing that if you buy the right items, the game is going to be much easier for. Also, position 5 Magnus, I'm not sure if I'm convinced. Like, some of the top tiers teams can make that work if your laning
Prepare
stage
for
is
battle.
good. Like, it can be very punishable.
Kind of excited to see Pilot die on a bit of a different hero, though. You might not be convinced, but I'm setting open expectations here. Maybe we see some nice little toss into skewer plays from Pilot die, or if he can get that Blink Dagger reasonably early on, the Blink RPs to set up the team fights for 5 men could be spectacular. You never know. And we have seen get more farm than really I'm used to him ever getting. Getting one primary item and then shifting into more of a position 5 and allowing Pylai die a bit more farm priority as the game does move on.
Yeah, he really had a lot of farm in the previous game. They relied on him getting that Aghanim set. Not just getting it, I mean, you need to also use it to be efficient. But I love the build that
30
Phantom
seconds
Assassin
to
is going for in this particular game. Just a casual 2 Ring of Regions straight into Divine Rapier. There is not a better option.
Oh, that is a build, isn't it? Yeah, bit of regen into a bit of damage. See what Ace gets up to as he'll decide what real items he wants to go for. Up top on the PA there, looks like Toby and Aramis are going to be the opponents in the lane as Pylai die, already feeling the pain from the Light Strike array, trying to sneak out a bounty rune under the nose of Viking. Looks like Toby here with a crush going to be able to secure both of bounty runes with Aramis, while Shad steals one. Gets in behind Misery, so 3-1, the bounty rune exchange already favoring Viking.
This top lane, it's a double stun lane against 2 melee heroes, so it should be a pretty easy lane for Viking. I'm just gonna say that they're gonna crush it, no puns intended.
That's definitely intended, Lacoste. You are the pun king. Then mid lane, looking towards that, Boom on the Shadow Fiend against the melee hero as well. Always going to have that slight advantage with the razors stacking up. The wave met under the Radiant tier 1 though, so Boom missing out on a couple of last hits and going for that classic bottle rush with the mango spam that we see from Shadow Fiends all too often nowadays. And a peek down towards bottom quickly. Salary there battling with Misery's Phoenix while Shad farms up against Zibe's Mars. It's a classic Mars Phoenix combo here, but they're against Chen with a lot of regen. He'll get his level 2 up in Divine Fever pretty soon, along with a headdress.
Yeah, he started with the headdress. Sven has some extra regen. Actually 6 per second. Only 8-1 tango so far, so I don't think they have enough to actually kill heroes on the bottom lane, since it's only Chen, but he can make some stacks. He's just gonna provide you with enough regen to sustain in the lane to get through all this harassment.
So our main focus probably going to be top. We've already seen a little bit of regen trading there. Toby and Aramis using the multi-stuns that you were talking about against these melee heroes, and again, going straight onto Pylai die. Magnus hits level 2, so Skewer is ready to get him back under that tower. Forcing the early salve and clarity as well.
It's very costly if you're playing position 5 Magnus, where you use Shockwave and Skewer combo, and you don't get a kill in return. So his clarity will be cancelled. Yeah, Slardar is just gonna completely dominate this lane.
And when Magnus goes to pull now, Lina's going to be outranging him, even contesting and stopping the pull from going. Oh, the ranged right-click attacks from the little troll priests. They follow and do drag the aggro. Very well done by Pylai die.
Still, he's not gonna get any denies from this.
Gets 1 CS, but the pretty full HP creep wave still will return to the tower. That wave probably going to shove now back towards Radiant side of the map, which is exactly where a double stun lineup wants it. Where Slardar is now, that's where they want to be playing from. So Lina can lurk in the shadows, They can go for those initiations. So, sentry was placed by Pile Die, but immediately dewarded, so the large camp is open for Lina to pull, while also blocking the small camp, so Magnus can't actually manipulate the creep wave himself. Everything going perfectly top for Viking. Bash onto Ace,
Radiant
just putting that pressure on. Toby not wasting his mana. A TP in towards mid. Boom, looks like he's been tossed under tower. Chessie giving chase, and the rotation from Misery, you said it. Don't need slows or stuns, you just need the roar. Take that first blood on Boom Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed. The rune is gonna spawn in 30 seconds, so they should be able to get it. Tiny really relies on refilling that bottle to keep the kill threat on a Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend also needs to get a raindrop against the Tiny, but a bit short on gold at the moment. Let's see how many heroes we're gonna see rotate just to secure Tiny's rune.
Looks like there's a lot of heroes coming.
Are fortified.
3 from either side, so we've got the 6-hero mid lane gathering up. Top rune spawns, an invis there for the SF, but Pile Die has other ideas. Forces Aramis to take it. Be under threat of dying though, with a couple of raises from Boom, short range into medium. Ooh, he hesitated a little bit there. Boom still gonna get the kill though. Busts out of clarity now as well, as he can return to lane after clearing out this camp for a few souls.
It's a good start for Tiny. Like, he got the XP. Misery got the first blood. Unfortunately, like, you would want your Tiny to get every possible gold is at the start, so you can kill people. You get the good timing on a Blink Dagger. He snowballs out of control. This is the type of hero that Tiny on mid is. See? Gonna toss him back to the creep. No, just
gonna
combo.
toss him. Boom has a tango, but the 5-minute rune spawning means now Chessie can go over to that Radiant side, gather up a couple. Pile Die stolen one.
Dire's
Misery
middle
gets
tower
one
is
down
under
bottom.
attack.
This time, 3-1 for 5 men. As they very actively go and take control of the runes. The Shadow Fiend to get back into the jungle, farm up a couple of camps, go back home all the way to Fountain, and maybe return to lane. Interesting for me anyway, Lacoste. Phoenix farming jungle right now.
It's a classic. If your teammates said something, pinged you way too many times, you're like, see you guys. In 10 minutes, I'm just gonna farm up my meter hammer, and then I'm gonna be joining you. He's making the stacks for PA. He knows that, you know, Magnus and PA is not a strong lane, and she farms fast with the Empower, just need time to recover.
Need to weather that storm. Make sure you don't bleed out too early on.
Oh, but that Cabal 4-man, the best looking creep in Dota 2, actually blocked the spawn. Like, blocked 2 spawns. That's nicely done by Celery.
Very good. Stop that acceleration. Shadow Fiend just has to hide in the trees, but Chessie showing off the Avalanche Toss combo. Falling back on a regen rune. Might make his first rotation down bottom in a second. But the vision's pretty good from both teams. You can see how very focused they are on the river, especially looking for these rotations from Tiny, from even the Lina, for example. Dire and Radiant tripling up pretty much. 2 Radiant Obs down bottom, 1 Dire, 1 Dire in mid, and then a Radiant Observer Ward near Roshan up top.
Yeah, Radiant has everything covered. They want to see 2 runes, same goes for 5 men, where like you want to control the runes for your Shadowfin, same thing. On the other side, Tiny, you want to have Haste, Invis, Arcane, anything that is not Illusion, so you can gank, and he also gets a very nice item for him. Either that, Arcane Rune, or Faded Brooch for some extra mana and extra movement speed, so he makes some easier rotations.
Faded Brooch would be real good for Tiny. Speed the little pebble up. Sven clearing through some stacks. It's a mango tree. Faded Brooch found by nobody, apparently.
Shad found it, sent it back. Shadowfiend is gonna take that one gladly. And I love the build that Toby has queued up. You know, you're a Slaughter, you want to scale as this hero. He has insane talents. I see Echo Saber being queued up. Like you,
Radiant's middle tower
Slaughter
is under
is
attack.
position 3, you know, that can outscale some of the position 1 heroes if you go for correct talent choices. Seen in the previous game where Ziba went for HP region and HP. Like, when you play the off lane, that means your core, and going for 20 damage and 60 bash damage talent is just insanely good.
All these melee heroes and against the egg. Gonna have a grand old time. Viking are coming into the dire jungle, scouting out some of these big juicy stacks that have been made. Shad has God Strength on, Chessie Arcane Rune gets a 2-man avalanche, and in dives Misery. But look at how many Viking have. 5 men are up against 5 men with a nice arena of blood. Mars initiates, and Shad's dropping low. They've speared up over to the side of the Colosseum. Boom still trying to battle away, but the avalanche toss comes back up thanks to that Arcane Rune of Chessie. And here we go, 5 men. They get 1-for-1 trade. SF for Phoenix, but the PA has arrived. It's winning, and Shad's gonna die. That is disaster for Viking.
Radiant's courier has been
You don't want to
killed.
chase? Toss the Seabed? Nah. And Tiny, I talked about the Arcane Rune. This is the best rune you can get on Tiny, especially in this kind of scenario. Yeah, they got the stacks, but they lost 2 cores
Radiant's
and their
middle
Lina.
tower is under
And a
attack.
courier.
And a courier as well on top of that. But the good thing is, your Chen is farming on the bottom lane and getting closer to mech. Mars,
Not for
ready.
much longer. Phoenix and Mars are right on top of him. Zippy's looking for the spear angle. He's going to have to throw it sooner rather than later, but I have to give up on that kill. Fire Spirits? Nah, he's got a stick. He's fine with all that HP regen. Divine Favor.
Dire are scanning.
Or is he? Chessie wants him. The tower, they know somebody's here. Celery, where
Where
are
could he
you?
possibly be if he did not
Oh, we
TP
found
out?
you!
It's gonna be a sick time. I'm gonna blink dagger on Tiny, just 600 gold away. We'll clear the creep wave. They continue to
Radiant's
pressure
bottom
the
tower
tower.
is under
Bounty rings are
attack.
spawning, so that means extra gold in his pockets.
Yeah, you were saying, 12-minute blink or something for this mid Tiny, and it looks
Radiant
like it's going to be bang on
structures
time, if
are
not early.
Radiant's bottom tower
Without
is
the
under
catapult,
attack.
they are
Dire's
doing
top
some
tower
severe
is
structural
under
damage
attack.
down bottom.
They
Dire
found
structures are
Royal
fortified.
Jelly, so that's even more mana. Sting coming out from Arcane Ring, Royal Jelly on Tiny.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's
He uses
bottom
one,
tower
hands
is
over the
fortified.
second to Tiny.
Dire's top tower is under
Viking.
attack.
Yet again trying to amass all their efforts into one zone of the map, but the arena catching Lina. And she did this incredibly quickly. Now they can deny the tower top, remove some of that gold income. And Viking
Radiant
we're trying to
structures
pressure there
are
and buy a bit of
fortified.
space for Boom and Shad.
Dire's top tower has been denied.
PA going for a pretty early build as well. We've seen a lot of Ace going, Battle Fury on several heroes. But Desolator straight up here.
There's a mag on his
talking about-
team, so no need to go for it. Just get that raw damage. And I've seen some PAs. It's popular in Chinese scene. Europeans are also starting to copy it, I guess, where they get like Deso and they get Aghanim Scepter,
Radiant
which is
are
pretty damn
scanning.
nice for Blur to reduce the cooldown, and it's also instant. It also, on top of that, refreshes all of your abilities.
You can keep chaining the daggers over and over. Yeah, you're right. We've seen a lot of this kind of deso into, ag, second or third item. Maybe you feel you need a BKB. We'll see what Ace decides this game. If he's feeling a little bit unsafe, he might go for one of those defensive items, BKB or Manta style. Pilot just wandering around the map. Wherever the PA goes, he will follow. He's the wind in her wings, allowing her to float around and farm all these neutral creeps.
Every single time I see someone needs to recover, Gaben says yeah, I'm gonna give him Iron Talon.
Iron Talon, Philosopher's Stone. Here you go. Just catch up a little bit. Boom, Shadow Fiend going for the BKB rush, which has become the norm on SS recently, it feels like. Very susceptible to getting jumped on and blown up as a pretty squishy hero. And then he can go back and decide whether he wants to be quick hitter or maybe a bit of magic damage. Toby did dodge the avalanche, but a toss into the arena. Where's the spear? Looks like He's not going to throw it in. Toby's just left to his own devices.
That's a
5-man
tough
retreat.
kill to get. Slaughter has 2000 HP with the stick and Fairy Fire.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Also forcing Viking to all move up top. You can see how quickly they did it. Sven and Shadow Fiend both arriving as they go again in onto Slardar. Chessie snipes it, and even with the backup here, Boom had retreated to triangle. Sven was still lurking around, but they get the kill regardless.
Seems like me and Toby have the same thinking about the game. Like, I did not really think he can die there. That's why he went back in.
5 men proving him wrong. Next goal for 5 men feels like the mid-tier 1. That's why we're starting to see Viking all gathering here. Toby's ready. Boom can fight. Chen has arrived with his mech, but no hand of minutes. This is all a massive by 5 men to create this portion of space. The Phantom Assassin to accelerate her farm so quickly. She's not got Battle Fury, but she's keeping pretty much in line with the Sven net worth. Only a few hundred behind.
So many stats are being made for Phantom Assassin. They are not a dire triangle. There's not a single ward right now, and Magnus is doing a good job just making the stacks. He just hit level 7. It's very hard for your mag to get the gold. Like, the only gold he gets is pretty much from stacking.
Yeah, he's got level 4 Empower now, though. Tranquil's Bassy, so he can continually spam out that Empower on the PA. Pilot could still make some sneaky little drift plays with a skewer into, a drive-by RP. Meteor Hammer done on Misery as well. It's all clicking into place for 5 men. As the aggressive moves from Viking are few and far between. Without the blink on Slardar, Sven can't really just walk into a fight. How does Viking set themselves up if they want to go and objective, the mid-tier 1 or Roshan? What's their game plan?
I think they're just farming nicely. They don't necessarily need to take a fight right now. Get a BKB on your Sven. Get a BKB on Shadowfin. The Blink Dagger on your Slardar.
Just slowly but surely try and build yourself up, and it's again a very tight game. These two squads very close in terms of skill and how they're drafting and executing. A few kills to the good. 5 men, only a slight net worth lead as they do try and aim in towards mid, but again, Toby, that positioning hangs off to the left-hand side, doesn't open himself to be initiated upon. It's a game of wave clearing so far, Lacoste.
Yeah, no one wants to take a fight. PA is, I'm fine, I'm level 12, Deso is done, farming with the Empower. I want to get a BKB next item, which is a much safer choice. They have no abilities that go through Magic Immunity. So yeah, I can understand that.
RMS TP's back to tier 1. Feeling that danger is coming. Little tingle you get when it's unsafe in the area. Sven still top of net worth. BKB not too far away. Pretty widespread across the map from Viking as well, playing in this buddy system almost. Lina Sven with the stuns, they can pretty much catch and kill anyone. They're able to stick on their target, while the rest of Viking near the Shadow Fiend to make sure he doesn't get jumped on while he gets towards the Black King bar. 5 men just biding their time. They want to go and fight. They've got Blink on Mars, trying to hunt for somebody, but closing in on him when Chen creeps are scouting, holding that line, looking to snipe couriers as well.
Both of these teams can actually smoke and get inside the Roche pit and try to get it. Phantom Assassin with Vampire Fangs and Deso has enough sustain.
Top tower is under
Maybe not
attack.
enough damage yet. They need another hero inside the pit, but it's much safer if you just, try to take a team fight and then go for Roach. Blink Dagger getting close for Slaughter to pick it up. Shadowfin just finished his BKB. Sven own recipe away. Let's see if they go for Roche play. Yeah, they're in.
Straight into the pit, you're absolutely right. Alpha Wolf, Chen with his army.
Radiant's
And they
middle
will look
tower
to slay
is
the big
under
man.
attack.
No scan here, pointing out for either team. Now with a lack of vision, Dire doesn't quite know this is happening. Mars doesn't see anyone bottom lane. Lina didn't go top a second ago.
Misery,
Looks
he
like
lands
Misery.
a good hammer. Let's see. Things around, everyone's just grouping up.
He knows what's going on. Dive into hammer. Connects on the Roshan and one of the Chen creeps. Pilar dies thinking about how he can get into this fight properly himself. Viking grouping up. Sven Illusion stunned by the avalanche, but Roshan's about to drop. The initiation from 5 men is not coming. And now they're in a position where they're forced to fight regardless. A great arena with the supernova, but the right click's coming. And the RP's there, the Shadow Fiend's caught. Toby can't get across the egg, and it lands. Misery! The supernova's got the ball, but moving with the BKB Requiem. They're going to blade into Misery, and the fitness is down. Sven looking to hound anyone he can. Good strength going, but 5 men have disengaged. A 2-for-1 exchange.
Yeah, Phantom Assassin was still not ready to fight. Just the 400 gold away from that BKB. If she had it, she would definitely blink in on one of the targets and try to grab a kill. This way, Aegis secured for Shadowfiend. I see a couple of items queued up. Dragonlance, full MKB. Like, you're gonna need MKB against the Phantom Assassin at one point. And you also want to go for damage build. Like, you do not want to go for any spell damage. You have Slaughter to amplify things for you.
Radiant's
Manto
middle tower is under
is
attack.
farming nicely. Like, Echo Saber going for Aghanim Scepter.
Radiant
On top of that,
structures are fortified.
but I'm not gonna get Blink Dagger.
Soak it in!
Yeah, forget that. Shen. Toby's here to save the day. Get a spear back. Keeps Zibe up. Celery. Blowing off the face of the map with the focus on Tiny. Jesse being chain stunned. The Mars Arena looks pretty good. And in comes the PA, finally looking ready to fight. But Toby surviving for so long. As Tiny makes his quick escape, Alina falls off the left-hand side. PA clears up 2 in a row. Now Shadowfiend without BKB. She's going to lose Aegis. Speared up to the side.
Dire's top tower
Men
is under
still with
attack.
5 alive and killed off 4 of Vikings heroes. Meteor Hammer beautifully timed as Misery begins with a reinitiation on the Shadow Fiend, and 5 men, even into Aegis, looking incredibly strong with that teamfight combo.
It's a completely different fight once Phantom Assassin
Radiant's
gets a
middle
BKB.
tower
There's
is
no
under
abilities
attack.
that pierce through magic immunity besides Slaughter ulti, and I don't think she cares too much about it. Now going for a basher. Like, Jesse is playing this
Radiant's
game so
middle tower
nicely.
has fallen.
Like, reinitiating, it was also a sick arena to hold everyone in place so they can't get on top of Tiny, because Tiny would give them a lot of gold and XP. Going straight into Aghanim Scepter. Loving the build from Jesse.
That's good stuff. Sven, you can see how afraid he is with BKB on cooldown. He is in the trees, in the fog, as far away as he possibly can. Shadow Fiend needs to regather all these souls which he's lost. A nice little stack there made for him by his team. The struggle of the Shadow Fiend definitely showing itself
Radiant's
here.
top
15
tower
souls,
is
all he's
under
got.
attack.
They smoke. Oh. Supernova's ready. Misery didn't use it last fight. It was still on cooldown.
And remember, it's a level 2 Supernova. They have 2 Echo Sabers, but still, you're playing into Bars and Phoenix, and they have good ways of protecting the egg with the Avalanche, with the RP. Of course, Magnus still does not have a Blink Dagger. It's a position 5 mag and needs to have constant clarities running on him so that he has enough
Radiant
to actually use
are
Empower on 1, maybe even 2 targets.
Yeah, it feels like Piloti's job is pretty much just empower the PA and Tiny, and if he can RP a core hero, all is good. The steer back, Zibe's found the job. Toby, completely out of position. Trying to clear out that mid wave and push into tier 1, but Viking weren't ready for that, and they're not ready for this. The PA in onto the Lina now, as Zibe has a spear back up in a second. You can launch it out and catch out. The Lina doesn't even need it, holding it for another target because Tiny hasted, tossing back. The SF into the Centaur, the Avalanche there as Sven does get a stun down. The TP out with the BKB to the RP lands. Piloti's there, and that's his job. All he has to do is RP a core, and it's a good one.
Chose you.
And he needs to get like his
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Blink at one point.
Dire's bottom
Stay
tower is under attack.
as further away from fight as
Radiant
possible.
structures
Use
are
amp power, get the
fortified.
clarities running, maybe get a lane for yourself at one
Radiant's
point,
middle
try to
tower
farm it
is
up
under
because it's going to
attack.
be a different story. Like imagine having Mag still with a blink dagger, and that's his
Radiant's
job.
middle
Amp power
tower
and
has
the
fallen.
blink RP.
Very simple to execute there for Bioladi. Evil and nuanced finesse play to the PA. Tiny now a couple of hundred away from the Aghanim Scepter. As we see the Shadow Fiend die once more. It's a sad time, down 10 souls now. Boom. Has a lot of catching up. 8,500 net worth. Very often feels like Shadow Fiend is in the same kind of realm as Alchemist and Anti-Mage. The leaner main mid, you need to snowball, but every death matters so much more on this kind of hero. As you're not only off the map for 30, 40, 50 seconds, but you're missing out on farm, your souls are lost.
Yeah,
And
he's
any
not a hero
momentum.
that plays well from behind. And Sven, like the map is shrinking. They don't have enough farm for everyone to get their items online. Like Sven, remember his BKB timing? He's not even close to the Aghanims. 5-man's movement around the map, the warding, everything is on point this game. They made so many stacks.
And they haven't been able to utilize this Lina. Position for Lina very often is, paired up with Slardar, with Sven.
Oh, there's
And-
Lina in the game?
Exactly. Usually we're seeing Lina with one of those two stun heroes just going around,
Dire's
finding kill,
top
pick off
tower
after
is
pick
under
off.
attack.
So it's not only the aggressive maneuvering here from 5 men, but also the fact that they're keeping, PA hidden. Tiny's not showing himself, and
Lane.
Celery. Yeah, the Chen.
You'll never
Just
stand
being burnt to a crisp by Misery, and Zibe there for the final touch.
Just gonna take one for the team. To go back to your point about Lina, Lina does not have a hero to play with in this
Dire
game.
are
Like, no one has a blink dagger, Sven no Aghanim Scepter, so she just needs to find a space for herself, try to get any kind of farm.
Relegated to split pushing and
Nice burn.
collecting bounty runes. RMS at least will succeed. Matter as Lina will
Radiant's
take
top
both
tower
of them
is
down
under
in the bottom
attack.
right corner of the map. 5 know exactly where she is though,
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
as they draw a big old circle around her. They instead converge into the Dire team's favorite place on the map. That is
Radiant's
this radiant
top
triangle,
tower is under
both defending
attack.
Roshan and pressuring, focusing towards the tier 2s and the high ground. PA? Oh dear me. Where did that Lina go?
Viking are just buying time. I mean, Armish pretty much understands that someone's gonna come. He just wants to see who's gonna come there, so the cores can try to get another item. Shadowfin, second item, Dragonlance. It's fine. It's not a game changer. Still a long run until MKB. They definitely need Sven to have Aghanim Scepter to be more maneuverable in these team fights.
This feels like, you're delaying this game to get your own items, and at the same time, Magnus now has a blink dagger, so the initiation effect from 5 men increased tremendously, while a Lotus Sword is, 50 gold away from Misery's Phoenix. Even the supports on the Dire team are getting stacked with items. Vladar with Ags, Echo. Oh, Solar Crest queued up. Trying to tank up as much as he can and be that frontliner for his Shadow Fiend. You get from Vladar Ags? There's a lot of stuff. Like
It's a
status
lot.
resist and-
HP regen, status resist, armor, puddle, you name it.
all the good stuff.
Movement speed from Guardian Sprint as well.
Hell yeah. PA
Full lags.
is coming.
Radiant's top
Tier 2 tower, not
is
going to
under
last too long either. Little dive there with a Meteor Hammer, and this Deso going to work for Ace.
Radiant's top
Tiny
tower
Zags
has
now
fallen.
arrives. The tree volley. Ready to chuck some trees into the Mars arena.
Radiant
Some big
are
items
scanning.
on 5 men. Like having that blur on instant cast where you can dispel things, it's
Radiant's
such a good
top
thing.
tower is under
Roche
attack.
spawned and Yeah, every single time I click on Tiny, I feel like he has Arcane Rune, and this Tiny, he will definitely scale. It's a Tiny with 6 and power. At one point, if the game drags, he's gonna get dataless. Look at his damage.
Oh, that tree volley's adorable. Look at it. Roshan, down he goes. Aegis and Cheese in the hands of PA and the Tiny, respectively, and an immediate smoke. Jesse not in it. We'll see if he shows out on the map somewhere to bait his opponents into that false sense of security. But Viking appearing to be ready, holding high ground, smoke there, Requiem channel, the PA feared, but not a lot of damage. Only 20 souls up on the Shadow Fiend, and they dive in the back. 3-man Mars Arena, and with the BKBs going, Shadow Fiend and Sven, they are fighting, but they're stuck inside. The PA's going wild. RP in the back will catch out Toby. The Slaughter's stunned up, but it's the Mars that gets taken out first. Laguna Blade was there, and 5 men. They do initiate, and they might get 1 kill. The trade of the offlaners is what we end up with.
They still have enough damage to just go for high ground. Jesse just popped the Arcane. And Phantom Assassin is always going to be in blur, playing from the fog.
Radiant's
like level
middle
15
tower
talent
is under
plus
attack.
350 cast range, and that Phantom Strike is insanely good.
Radiant
I think
structures are
that talent is a
fortified.
bit OP.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And she still has BKB.
Dire's bottom
9
tower
seconds as
is
well.
under
They
attack.
find the chain. They jump in from the PA. Annihilating Celery with a tree volley. The final lob of a big old branch. And Tiny says, I'll give this kill to Ace.
Are scared.
On the high ground. Still being pressured. Jesse, come on. Leave them alone. They're already dead.
They're running out of trees. Like, Jesse needs to find a spot for himself.
Hey, where are the Striders? Where's the Ironwood branch? The Ironwood tree.
Nature's Prophet. Remember the
Oh,
old
yeah.
Nature's... Oh, sorry. The old tree and that had, I think, trees. Drove back
Eyes
in
in
the
the trees.
second. Yeah.
Ruby went on a bit of a dewarding mission. 1.2k crits from PA, though. And Aegis still in her hands for about 3 minutes, honestly. In a great position to be in as Jesse, he's... with the avalanche and the tree volley, pops the Eon disc.
Phantom Assassin going on Shadow.
Radiant's middle tower
Like, this
is under
cast
attack.
is insane.
There's nothing they can do to stop Ace either. Look, straight on the chip. Central stop misses and he just crits him down. Buyback straight out from Celery as they try to hold on to any semblance of base control. And tier 3, it is crumbling quickly.
Radiant's middle tower.
5 men are
is
already back in action. RP
Radiant's
is there
middle
with a blink
barracks
dagger
are
in a
under
couple of
attack.
seconds for Bylide die. Just keep empowering your teammates as they whack away at barracks. Repair kit going though for Viking.
has fallen.
Range goes the fall. The crush not gonna land. Toby just getting a corrosive haze onto the Mars for now, and an arena not quite well placed. Zones out the rest
kidding,
of
arena.
Viking.
So they can easily reset. They are not relying on the cooldowns. Even if there's no RP, if there's no arena, they can still easily take a fight. Aegis. Minute and 30 seconds left. Tiny is still holding onto that cheese. So they're pretty hard to take down. I think Viking might have one more fight.
Radiant's bottom tower.
And it's gonna have
is
to be
under
like a
attack.
sly smoke. Something to upset the balance of the game. Try and get them
Radiant's
all
bottom
a step
tower has
advantage
fallen.
because they need every advantage they can get. Illusion Rune for Shadow Fiend. Shove out the mid lane with those and TP back home because they need to defend their bottom lane.
Dire's top
5 men are here with a catapult wave this time. Toby just crashing the floor to make the big puddle.
Radiant's bottom
Tier 3 falls. Now in we go. Great spear off the blink and the Shadow Fiend. He's going to have to buy back. Didn't even get a chance to pop his BKB as the Slardar slips away from danger, but the jump in for the PA makes sure to shut that down.
under attack.
5 men know now that without Toby, they are in a 5 versus 4. Are running out of options so quickly.
Double godlike. Both Jesse and Ace. 3 balls. Bring
Shadow
Shadow
Fiend.
down to half HP.
With the Arena of Blood now, Supernova in on top of them all. They try and focus it down with the right click, but the kill knocks in over the RP from Pylon Die. It secures the egg, and they can keep on fighting. This is it. That's game over. There's no way that Viking can face up against this, and 5 men take it. The game and the series.
Yeah, good performance from Five-Man, where the laning stage, at least the top didn't work well for them, but they made so many stacks from Phantom Assassin to actually make a comeback into the game. Tiny had an amazing game